Almost every scoop of vanilla ice cream, every birthday cake, every bottle of perfume you've ever loved traces back to one place. Not France, not the Caribbean, an island most people couldn't point to on a map, off the southeastern coast of Africa. And the strange part? Vanilla isn't even supposed to grow there. So how did one of the poorest countries on Earth end up controlling the flavor the entire planet can't live without? Madagascar is roughly the size of France, sitting alone in the Indian Ocean, separated from mainland Africa by 250 miles of open water. That isolation gave it lemurs found nowhere else, baobab trees that look like they were planted upside down, and a population where most people survive on less than $3 a day. And yet this same country supplies somewhere between 75 and 80% of the world's natural vanilla. One crop, grown by hand on small family plots, feeding a global industry worth billions. Here's the twist nobody expects. Vanilla shouldn't work here at all. Vanilla comes from an orchid, and it originated on the other side of the planet, in the tropical forests of eastern Mexico. Long before Europeans arrived, the Totonac people were already cultivating it, curing the pods, and trading them along the Gulf Coast. They called it a gift, something sacred enough for kings. When the Aztecs conquered the Totonac in the 1400s, they didn't destroy the crop, they taxed it. Vanilla became tribute, poured into royal drinks alongside cacao, prized as much for status as for flavor. Then Spanish conquistadors showed up in the 1500s, tasted it, and shipped it back to Europe, where it became an instant obsession among royalty. But there was a catch, a massive one. For 3 centuries, nobody outside Mexico could grow vanilla that actually produced beans. Not France, not Spain, not any of the tropical colonies scattered across the globe. Growers could plant the vines just fine. The orchids would even flower, but the flowers never turned into pods. Botanists were baffled. Some blamed the soil, others blamed the climate. The real answer was tiny, and it was buried in the jungles of Mexico the whole time. A single native species of bee, the Melipona, along with a handful of hummingbirds, were the only pollinators on Earth capable of fertilizing this particular orchid. Take the plant anywhere else, and you take away its only partner. Europe had a plant it couldn't reproduce. An entire empire's worth of vanilla vines, blooming for one day each, and then wilting into nothing. That's where the story should have ended. Instead, it turned on a 12-year-old boy nobody had ever heard of. His name was Edmond. He was born enslaved in 1829 on the French island of Réunion, near Madagascar, to a mother who died giving birth to him. He never knew his father. The man who legally owned him, a plantation owner named Féréol Bellier-Beaumont, happened to be an amateur botanist, and he taught the boy how to tend gardens and study plants. By 1841, Bellier-Beaumont had kept a single vanilla vine alive on his property for over 20 years. It had never once produced fruit. Then one morning, walking through the garden with young Edmond, he noticed something impossible. 2 pods hanging from the vine. He assumed it was luck or an accident. It wasn't. Edmond told him he had done it himself, using a thin blade of grass and his thumb, lifting a tiny membrane inside the flower that separates the male and female parts, then pressing them together by hand. A 12-year-old had solved, in an afternoon, what European scientists had failed to crack for 300 years. Naturally, almost nobody believed him at first. There was open skepticism that a young black boy, enslaved, with no formal education, could have outsmarted the finest botanists in Europe. Bellier-Beaumont asked for a demonstration. Edmond delivered, again and again, and the technique spread across the island within a few years. Réunion's vanilla exports went from nothing to 20 tons a year within 2 decades, then 200 tons. And Edmond himself? France abolished slavery in 1848, and he was finally freed, taking on the surname Albius. He spent the rest of his life in poverty, worked briefly as a kitchen servant, and died in 1880 without ever profiting from the technique that built an entire global industry. He wasn't formally credited for years after his death. Today, there's a bronze statue of him in Sainte-Suzanne, the town where he was born. His method, hand-pollinating each individual flower with a stick and a thumb, is still exactly how vanilla is pollinated today. Nothing has replaced it. Not machines, not chemicals. A technique invented by an enslaved child in 1841 still runs a multi-billion-dollar industry in 2026. French colonists carried cuttings of the vine from Réunion to nearby Madagascar in the 1800s, chasing the same dream of a vanilla empire. And Madagascar, it turned out, had almost everything the plant needed. Warm, humid lowlands, consistent rainfall, rich volcanic soil in the right regions. No frost, ever. What it also had was cheap, abundant labor, in a French colony where farmers had little choice but to grow whatever the colonial economy demanded. Today, most of the world's vanilla comes from one strip of northeastern coastline known as the Sava region, named for its 4 main towns. And the process hasn't gotten any easier with time. Each orchid flower blooms exactly once, for a single day, sometimes just a few hours. Miss that window, and the flower is gone until next year. So during flowering season, farmers walk their fields at dawn, checking hundreds of vines, hand-pollinating each open blossom before it closes forever. Then comes the part almost nobody realizes. Fresh vanilla beans have no smell at all. None. The vanilla flavor doesn't exist yet. It has to be developed through a curing process that takes 3 to 6 months, involving blanching the beans in hot water, sweating them wrapped in blankets, sun-drying them on racks, then conditioning them in closed boxes while enzymes slowly build the compound called vanillin. Get it wrong, and months of labor turn into moldy, worthless pods. Get it right, and you've created one of the most complex flavor profiles in nature, something like 250 different aromatic compounds in a single bean. It's agriculture that runs almost entirely on human hands and human patience. All that labor is exactly why real vanilla costs a fortune. By weight, cured vanilla beans have at times traded for more than silver, prices spiking above $400 a kilogram during shortages. The global vanilla market was valued above $3.5 billion in 2024, feeding demand from ice cream makers, bakers, perfumers, and pharmaceutical companies that use vanillin as a flavor masking agent in medicine. Compare that to synthetic vanillin, made cheaply from wood pulp byproducts or petrochemicals, selling for a tiny fraction of the price. Over 99% of the vanilla flavor in the world's food supply is actually synthetic. Real Madagascar vanilla is the rare stuff, the premium stuff, reserved for gourmet products and labels that can charge for authenticity. Which means for Madagascar, a country where most farmers live on subsistence income, vanilla can be the difference between poverty and prosperity in a single harvest. But dependence on one crop cuts both ways. When prices spike, vanilla becomes a target. Farmers have taken to sleeping in their fields during harvest season, guarding vines against thieves who sneak in at night and strip unripe pods to sell on the black market. Some villages have set up neighborhood patrols. Vigilante violence against suspected thieves has, in extreme cases, turned deadly. Then there's the weather. Madagascar sits directly in the path of Indian Ocean cyclones, and a single storm can wipe out an entire season's flowering vines in hours. A major cyclone in 2017 devastated production and helped send prices rocketing to historic highs. And when prices climb too high, the opposite disaster follows. Farmers rush to plant more vines, buyers stockpile inventory, and the market floods. Prices that once touched $600 a kilogram have since collapsed, leaving farmers who expanded during the boom struggling to break even. It's happened before, most dramatically in 2004, when prices crashed by roughly 90% within a single year. It's happening again now, with green vanilla prices in parts of Madagascar falling to just a few dollars a kilogram in 2025. Middlemen often capture much of what value remains, buying beans cheap from isolated farmers who have no other market to sell into, then reselling at a steep markup to exporters. It's a boom and bust cycle that is repeated for over a century. Looking ahead, Madagascar's grip on vanilla is no longer guaranteed. Climate change is intensifying cyclones in exactly the regions vanilla depends on most. Countries like Uganda and Indonesia are expanding production, and biotech companies are experimenting with fermenting vanillin from genetically engineered yeast, marketed as natural vanilla flavor without a single orchid involved. For now, though, the process hasn't changed much since 1841. Somewhere in northeastern Madagascar, right now, a farmer is walking rows of vines at first light, using nothing but a thumb and a blade of grass to keep an entire global industry running. Every time vanilla ice cream melts on a spoon, that's the debt being paid without anyone knowing it. A technique invented by an enslaved child who never saw a cent from it, still shaping how the whole planet tastes something sweet.